Journey to the West, an audio drama series. Chapter 18, Part 1. We speak now of Sun Xingzhe, who bid farewell to Bodhisattva and came back down from the clouds. Hanging the Gashaya on a Nanmu tree, he pulled out the rod and fought his way into the Black Wind Cave. And could he find a single imp left inside? No. The moment they saw Bodhisattva appear and subdue the old monster until he was rolling on the ground, they hurriedly escaped in all directions. Xingzhe was feeling aggressive, so he piled dry wood between the many layers of gates and set fire to the front and back at the same time, turning the Black Wind Cave into the Red Wind Cave. He then grabbed the Gashaya and headed straight northward, riding a beam of auspicious light. We now return to Sanzang, who was waiting for Xingzhe's return, as anxiety turned to confusion. He wondered whether Xingzhe failed to invite Bodhisattva over, or straight up used this as an excuse to run away. Just as his thoughts were running wild, colorful mist began glowing in midair. All of a sudden, Xingzhe ascended before the steps and said, "Master, the Gashaya is here." Sanzang was overjoyed. All the monks were also beyond themselves with happiness, saying, "Wonderful, wonderful, our lives are finally saved today." Sanzang took the Gashaya and said, "Wukong, when you left earlier, you promised to return by the end of the noon meal. Why are you back only now when the sun is setting in the west?" Xingzhe then recounted the entirety of the events, from inviting Bodhisattva over to how she subdued the monster with transformation. Sanzang heard this and set up an incense table so that he could pray to the south. He said, "Dear disciple, with the Buddha's robe back, we can soon pack up and leave." Xingzhe said, "There's no hurry at all. It's getting late today and not a good time to be on the road. Let's wait till tomorrow and leave in the morning." The monks also prostrated and said, "Lord Sun is right. The late hour is one thing, but we also have vows to fulfill. We are glad to be saved now and have the treasure back. Please allow us to pay back for our vows first and invite you to distribute the offerings around. Once we've done that, we will send you off westward tomorrow morning." Xingzhe agreed. "They are right. Exactly right." Look at those monks, all going out of their way to offer everything they had rescued from the fire, putting together some vegetarian offerings. They burned some paper to wish for well-being, then recited several scrolls of sutra on dissolving disaster. That was how they concluded the night. The following morning, they washed the horse and packed up their belongings before exiting the gate. The monks accompanied them quite far before turning back. Xingzhe headed forward and saw it was the prime days of spring. The horse stepped softly on the lush grass as willow trees dripped fresh dew. Blossoms vied over beauty while animals enjoyed their days in warmth. Autumn was long gone, winter was barely felt, and they were halfway through spring. If only they knew when they would reach the end and bring back the true words. Master and disciple walked on desolate roads for several days. One day, as it was getting dark, they spotted a village in the distance. Sanzang said, "Wukong, look over there. There is a mountain village nearby. Let's go ask for a night's lodging and resume the journey tomorrow, shall we?" Xingzhe replied, "Allow Elder Sun to examine the nature of the place before doing that." So the master pulled on his reins while Xingzhe locked his eyes on the place. There were layers of bamboo fences surrounding many thatched houses. Greenery and streams made up a welcoming entrance. Birds could be heard chirping as livestock wandered on the lanes. Full in their stomachs, chickens and pigs were fast asleep at the house corner. Singing aloud, the drunk old man next door was coming over. Xingzhe withdrew and said, "Master, please go ahead. This is indeed a fine village, most suited for lodging." The elder thereby urged the white horse forward before arriving at a crossing. Out came a young man who wore a cotton head wrap and blue coat. He had on him an umbrella and bag, and his trousers were fastened tight. On his feet were a pair of triple-pointed straw sandals. Resolute and upright, he ran briskly down the street before Xingzhe grabbed him with his hand and asked, "Where are you heading? Allow me to ask you a question. What is this place called?" The man only struggled to get away, muttering, "Is there no one else in the village? Why do you have to ask me?" Xingzhe chuckled at him and said, "Be not upset, patron. To help others is to help yourself. What's the harm of just telling me the name of the place? I may be able to fix your problems too. The man couldn't shake off his hand and was furiously jumping up and down, shouting, Jinxed! I'm so jinxed! I could barely handle the grievance from the family head, and now I've bumped into this bald fellow to suffer from his frivolous complaints. Xingzhe said, If you have the power to break away from my hand, you may as well leave. The man twisted from left and right, but how could he move even a little bit? It was as if he was held in place by a pair of iron clamps. He got so upset, he tossed his bag and umbrella and started scratching Xingzhe, his two hands falling on him like raindrops. Xingzhe held his luggage with one hand and kept the man in place with the other. No matter how much the man struggled, he just couldn't lay a finger on Xingzhe. And Xingzhe only kept him there further, driving him into thunderous rage. Sanzang asked, Wukong, can't you see if anyone else is coming? You can just ask another person. What's the point of clutching this one man? Just let him go. Xingzhe laughed and said, You have no idea, master. What's the fun of asking someone else? Only when we ask him can there be real business. The man was desperate with Xingzhe's hold over him, so he had no choice but say, This place lies within the kingdom of Wusizang, and is called Gao Laozhuang, the old Gao Village. More than half of the village takes the last name of Gao, which is how we got the name. You can let me go now. Xingzhe asked, The way you are dressed indicates that you're not taking a short trip. Be honest with me and tell me where you're heading. What are you up to? Then I will let you go. The man had no option but to tell them the truth. He said, I'm from the family of Gao Taigong, Squire Gao. My name is Gao Cai. The squire's youngest daughter reached 20 and wasn't married to anyone. 3 years ago, she was taken by a monster as wife. For 3 whole years, the monster went around as the son-in-law, which greatly bothered that squire of mine. He said, Having a daughter married to a monster is no way to move forward. Not only is the family's reputation ruined, we don't even have in-laws to socialize with. He has been wanting to kick the monster out, but how could the monster agree to that? The monster then locked the squire's daughter up at the rear hall. Almost half a year has passed now, and she wasn't allowed to see her family again. The squire gave me a few taels of silver and instructed me to find a religious expert to capture the monster. I could hardly rest my feet these days and invited several people over, but they turned out to be useless monks and cowardice Taoists. None could manage to subdue the monster. The squire just gave me a good scolding, blaming me for being incompetent. He then handed me another 5 taels of silver as travel expense and told me once again to find a good priest to subdue him. I never expected to run into you, piece of obstructive nonsense, and be held back. You're delaying my journey. I've been suffering in and out of the home. That's why I had no choice but shout at you. I didn't even know you're such an expert at wrestling. I am no match against you, so I told you the truth. Do let me go now. Xingzhe said, This is both your luck and my vocation. What a perfect business match. No need to travel any further or spend any of that silver. We are no useless monk or cowardice Taoist. We actually have some skills, and capturing monsters is very much our expertise. This surely is a case of benefiting the physician's business while getting your eyes cured. If you don't mind, do go home and report to your family head. Tell him we have here the royal younger brother and divine monk who serves as an imperial envoy from the land of the east. We are heading to the West Heaven to meet Buddha and seek scriptures. And we are experts in subduing monsters. Gao Cai said, Don't you mess with me. I have a stomach full of grievances now. If you convince me but have nothing to show for and can't capture that monster, wouldn't you drag me into even more scolding? Xingzhe said, I promise this won't be a bad decision for you. Do show us to your front door. The man didn't know what else to do, so he indeed took his bag and umbrella and turned around. Having brought the pair to the entrance, he said, Elders, please have a seat on the stepping stones and allow me to notify the family head. Only then did Xingzhe let go of him. Dropping their luggage and reining the horse in, master and disciple sat by the front gate and waited. Gao Cai entered the door and headed straight for the central hall, where he ran directly into Squire Gao. The squire scolded, You blighter, itching for a beating, are you? Why aren't you out there looking for the right people and have come back instead? Gao Cai put down his bag and umbrella before saying, "Master, I have something to tell you. I was just out on the open street when I bumped into two monks. One of them rode on a horse and the other carried their luggage. They grabbed me and wouldn't let me go until I told them where I was going. I tried my best not to engage them, but he was so persistent with his grip, I was left with no other choice. So I told him everything that happened to you, master. He then became incredibly delighted and said he would capture the monster for us." Squire Gao asked, "Where are they from?" Gao Cai answered, "He says he is the royal younger brother and divine monk who serves as an imperial envoy from the land of the East. They're heading to the West Heaven to meet Buddha and seek scriptures." The squire said, "If they are monks from far away, they might actually have some tricks up their sleeves. Where are they now?" Gao Cai answered, "They're now waiting outside the door." So the squire quickly changed his clothes and came out with Gao Cai to greet them. Hearing someone call out the word elder, Sanzang quickly turned around and saw the host right in front of him. The old man wore a dark head wrap and a white robe made with brocade from the land of Shu, which would be present-day Sichuan. On his feet were a pair of leather boots the color of coarse grains, and he also had a dark green sash on. Smiling as he walked out, the squire greeted, "Elder, I pay my respect." Sanzang returned the gesture, but Xingzhe only stood still. The old man saw that he looked rather hideous and unfriendly, so he did not greet Xingzhe. Xingzhe asked, "Why wouldn't you pay your respect to Elder Sun?" Feeling afraid, the old man shouted at Gao Cai, "Why don't you servant boy just kill me instead? The family already has an ugly son-in-law that we can't get rid of. Why did you invite this thunder god to ruin my life further?" Xingzhe said, "Old Gao, you seem to have grown older but not wiser. If you only judge a person by their appearances, you are absolutely wrong. Elder Sun may look hideous, but I've got the skills. If I could capture that monster son-in-law for your family and give your daughter back to you, I would be doing you a favor. Why mutter on about my looks?" The squire heard his words and became terror-stricken, but he could only feign confidence and invite the pair inside. Only when Xingzhe was invited did he pull the horse and tell Gao Cai to carry the luggage before entering with Sanzang. He had no regard for manners, so he just tied the horse on a pillar in the main hall before pulling over a processed lacquer chair and asking Sanzang to sit on it. He then pulled over another chair for himself to sit on the side. Squire Gao remarked, "The young elder sure is making himself at home." Xingzhe replied, "If you let me stay for half a year, I would make myself even more at home." Once they sat down, Squire Gao asked, "Just now I heard my servants say that the two elders come from the land of the East, right?" Sanzang replied, "That is right. By an imperial order, this humble cleric is heading to the West Heaven to meet Buddha and seek scriptures. We happen to pass by your honorable manor, so we would like to ask for a night's lodging. We will leave early tomorrow morning." Squire Gao asked, "So you two are here to ask for lodging. Why did you say you can subdue monsters?" Xingzhe explained, "We are here to ask for lodging, and while we're at it, might as well capture a few monsters for fun. Mind if I ask, how many monsters are there in your house?" Squire Gao lamented, "Heaven's sake, how many more could I even take? Only one monster son-in-law is enough to wreck my life." Xingzhe said, "Tell me everything about this monster and what power he has. Start from the very beginning, so I can take him down for you."